We're live, Dana.
Hooray! And I would like to point out, I didn't ask if we were live.
No, you didn't. That's remarkable self-discipline. So, Kirak brings up a point. Kirak said, I thought this was a DS9 week. Ha! Gotcha! It was supposed to be, but we didn't do a show last week because of technical difficulties. We started it, we tried to do it, but my internet was not behaving. So I said, screw it, we ain't doing it. And we didn't do it. So we're doing the show we were going to do last week tonight and watching Poirot and the Mystery of the Spanish Chest. So if you have not gotten yourself a copy of that episode yet, if you need to download a copy of it to watch along with us, there's a link in my pinned message in the live chat, or you can acquire it wherever else you may happen to have a Poirot episode source.
Mystery is, how do they fit it all in there?
So, yeah. I want to acknowledge something from the chat a few minutes ago before we got started. It is one of those rare opportunities, because this is a Poirot week, not a Deep Space Nine week, not a Star Trek week, but it's one of those rare points of intersection, a nexus, if you will, between Star Trek and Poirot, and it was suggested by our friend Mr. I Love the Ants, who says, what if in Ship in a Bottle, which is a Star Trek TNG episode, the ship's computer made an evil Poirot instead of Moriarty? Because, of course, the computer in Moriarty appears in Ship in a Bottle, and he was created in a previous episode to that called Elementary Dear Data that I just reviewed on my retro review series a couple weeks ago, where the holodeck computer creates a self-aware version of Moriarty on the holodeck to be able to defeat Data, who is portraying Sherlock Holmes. But what if, instead of creating Moriarty in order to challenge Data, the computer had created an evil Poirot? And since the Poirot series we're watching was in production at the time, maybe they could have thrown some scratch at David Suchet, and he could have played. We would have been given the pleasure of seeing David Suchet not only playing Poirot on Star Trek, but playing evil Poirot.
That would have been fun. It is interesting to think about that, because Poirot and Hastings, of course, are kind of a riff on Holmes and Watson.
Holmes and Watson, yeah.
But there is no Moriarty.
Yeah, Poirot doesn't have like an arch-nemesis.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, to be fair, in the stories, Holmes barely has one too. Like Moriarty only appears in 2 stories, so I mean, it's not like Moriarty is he's not quite the Joker to Holmes's Batman. Like he shows up twice, basically.
Yeah. So typically, because here's the thing, Poirot wins. Poirot gets the bad guy. Now, if anything, Poirot has an Irene Adler, who we met, because the Countess does come back. The Countess is a recurring character. Yeah. But there's no recurring arch-nemesis of any sort. So,
and you know what's funny? You know what's hilarious about that is that in the original Holmes canon, Irene doesn't come back. Like Irene is not a recurring character. We're told that she's super important and that like she holds an esteem in Holmes's mind higher than any other woman, but she's just in that one story.
And this wasn't this didn't have the brilliant ending that I remember, in which once again she's trying to steal jewels or something like that, and it concludes with Poirot having bested her again, and he says, Countess, you are a woman inestimable. I hope that someday we shall meet again. And she says, and I do not. Good day, Mr. Poirot.
I'm good.
Yep. I don't like being able to get what I want.
I don't need you fucking my shit up again. So
again,
let's just call it a life.
And so apparently Irene did what the Countess said. The Countess planned to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think if I remember correctly, Irene gets a happy ending. Like Irene leaves and goes to be with her love, and leaves and leaves Holmes a letter explaining, like, so Irene basically, like, Holmes solves the case in terms of finding out what happened, but Irene gets away.
Mm-hmm.
So
as Moriarty does, apparently.
yeah.
So clearly,
well, no, Moriarty doesn't get away. No. Well, the second time Moriarty appears is in a story that it was published later, but it was set earlier. But in the Moriarty story that most people
are familiar
with, The Final Problem, he very much does not get away.
So you say, but here's the thing. If Holmes could survive, who's to say Moriarty couldn't have survived?
Well, that's true. Maybe Moriarty did get out of there somehow. And Holmes is a total failure.
Not a total failure. He did solve some of his cases.
He solved, I mean, I think he solved all of them. He just didn't always catch the bad guy.
Yeah. But it is, I hadn't thought of that before, and it's an interesting difference between the writers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and in one of my favorite Holmes stories, the one that I read every Christmas, The Blue Carbuncle, he chooses to let the guilty party go.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kirok 2011 also says, was the Moriarty hologram an evil character? Is he really self-aware, or is he the sum of the altered programming? Food for thought. I mean, if you start going down that rabbit hole of like, is he really self-aware, or is he just programmed to appear self-aware? That's kind of like
semantic. Yeah.
And it's unknowable, because it's the problem of other minds. Like you can't prove that any other human being is truly self-aware, like, because you can never, you only ever experience reality through your own senses and through your own mind. So that's just a philosophical problem. But no, I don't think he's evil. I don't think he's evil, but I mean, he's still, like, for all of his protests in those episodes, because the Moriarty hologram shows up in 2 episodes of TNG. And in both those episodes, he's like, I'm not a villain anymore. I'm self-aware now. I just want to leave the holodeck and enjoy life as a free individual like the rest of you, right? I'm not evil. But both times he tries to take over the ship. So it's like, I mean, you could say, well, he's doing what he feels he needs to do in order to gain his freedom. Like, okay, but I mean, still, you're not really working with us here, are you, buddy?
Mr. I love the answer. I do love how Sherlock will break out the full makeup kit, and get into character to interview the poor, and of course that made me think of Matches Malone.
Oh yes,
which made me think of a character that we've met that nobody else has yet.
Oh yes, that we met over the weekend. Yes.
I hope that becomes a recurring character.
Speaking of Holmes doing his disguisey thing, because again, that's one of, like, I love Sherlock Holmes, and that's one of the goofiest parts. Like, one of the nice things about Holmes is, like, you can read a Holmes mystery and it feels very literary and very sort of, to us in the 21st century, it's like, oh, how highbrow, a Sherlock Holmes mystery. These were pulp stories. These were published in magazines in the 1800s and the early 1900s. They're pulp stories. They're popular fiction. And, and you can tell sometimes, because, like, some of those Holmes stories get super goofy, and I mean, like, I mean, before he kills him and brings him back, because some of the later ones get a little goofy too. But even in the early stories that everybody mostly agrees are the best Holmes stories,
the canon,
canon. Yeah, like the best of the best. I mean, it's like he puts on theatrical disguises. You know what I mean? Like, he does all kinds of wacky stuff. There's a great scene in one of the early stories where Watson is contacted by the wife of a friend of his and told that this friend has been missing. And she fears that he has succumbed to his opium addiction.
Come to an ill end.
He's succumbed to his opium addiction. So Watson goes to the opium den that he knows this friend of his used to hang out at. And as he's in the opium den searching for his friend, he hears, "Hey, Watson." And he turns, and there's Sherlock Holmes, dressed up as like a completely different person, disguised, quote unquote, pretending to be an opium addict, on a completely different case. He just happens to have shown up at the same opium den where Watson is looking for his friend. Yeah, and Kara, Dana, and I watched that not too terribly long ago, right? It was a couple months ago now, but yeah, without a clue. You seemed to mostly like it, right?
Wait, what?
Without a clue, without a clue, the one with with Michael Caine as Holmes and Ben Kingsley as Watson, and the gimmick is that they're flipped, where Watson is actually the smart one. Yeah,
and nobody believes him. Poor dude.
255 AD says, I stopped in to point out it's implied making a goodbye note to be played at your funeral is a Starfleet tradition when going on dangerous missions, not just a thing O'Brien does. I remember it being kind of an O'Brien thing. I mean, I'm not saying he's like the only one who ever does it. I'm sure lots of them do that. But I mean, like Dax kind of, I think Dax says something like, how many is this or something? Like, it's implied that like Dax doesn't do that. Dax doesn't record like a farewell message.
Yeah. The message, yeah. I thought you were thinking of, how many of these had Dax done because, different hosts.
It's like the 7th or the 8th lifetime, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like, oh, that's right. Because Miles keeps updating it. I remember the thing. Yeah. I remember the thing about Star Trek.
He records a new one every time. Like, what are you doing, dude? Just tell him, send her the old one. What? PS. How much has changed? How much has changed since the last time you recorded one of these? You've been on this fucking station for 5 years now. Yeah, exactly. It probably hasn't even been that long.
Speaking of today's video, that was today,
yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah, the O'Brien, the suffering video. Yeah, yeah. Oh, does she, Caitlin? I didn't remember that.
I have no idea what you mean by the 7% solution. So that doesn't mean that I haven't seen it, just that I don't remember it.
The 7% solution is a novel and also a film, a Sherlock Holmes story written by Nicholas Meyer, who of course would later go on to greater fame as the director and co-writer of some of the best Star Trek movies. Nicholas Meyer is a huge Sherlock Holmes nerd, and he wrote a novel, a Sherlock Holmes novel in the 70s called The 7% Solution, and it was made into a film a few years after that, that he also wrote the screenplay for. So I like it. I like the 7% Solution. I don't know if, it's a pastiche, and it's a pretty good pastiche of Holmes. I wouldn't put it up there as like top tier Holmes, but I like it. I enjoy it. And it's fun because it's Nicholas Meyer, and you're like, oh, hey, the guy who directed my favorite Star Trek movies is also a Sherlock Holmes nerd and made a Sherlock Holmes movie. Yeah.
Nerd.
Yeah. Except with me, it's sort of reverse. Like, I love Sherlock Holmes, but I think I would put Star Trek a little bit ahead of Holmes in terms of how important they are to me. And Nicholas Meyer cares way more about Sherlock Holmes than he cares about Star Trek. Like, it's not even close. He's way more of a Sherlock nerd than he is a Star Trek nerd, which is one of the reasons why he was the best Star Trek director, because he wasn't a fucking nerd about it.
So does that mean you would be a bad Star Trek director?
I would say I am not. In my vanity, I would say no, of course not, because I can make that separation and I can, give myself the proper distance. But the truth is, if I were not me, someone like me is not who I would be hiring for that job. And that's as it should be. I thought it was 7% cocaine, Caitlin. Because that comes from one of the canonical stories. He injects cocaine in a 7% solution. Maybe it is morphine. I thought it was cocaine.
Mm.
Okay, 255 video. I mean, I don't really care about it either way. Like whether they record messages to their family. O'Brien's the only one we ever actually see doing it. So, no, Sean, you're thinking of Nemesis. Frakes directed Insurrection. The guy who directed Nemesis was Stuart Baird. But the problem with that, I've said this before, the problem with Nemesis, as far as that goes, isn't that Stuart Baird wasn't a Star Trek fan. It's that Stuart Baird didn't understand the movie he was making. It was like he didn't even read the script before he started directing it. That was the problem. It's not whether, like, I mean, because look, Nicholas Meyer was not a Star Trek fan. He made the two best Star Trek movies there are. J.J. Abrams was not a Star Trek fan. And he made one really good Star Trek movie, another very good Star Trek movie, and was a producer on the best of the new Star Trek movies. So like a lot. And here's the other thing. Nemesis might have been directed by someone who wasn't a Star Trek fan, but it was written by John Logan, who went out of his way during the press tour for that to talk about what a huge Star Trek nerd he is. And even more than the direction, which is definitely subpar, the real fatal flaw in that movie is the script, which reads like bad fanfic, which is what it was.
Well, but see, I would quibble that the issue there is not the fanfic, but the bad.
It shouldn't be, but I mean, I agree. Not all fanfic is bad, but I don't want, if I hire you to write a movie for, you know, an established property, whether it's Star Trek or a superhero thing or whatever, if you turn in fanfic, I'm going to hire someone else. Like, I don't want fanfic. I want a story. Go ahead.
So what's the difference between fanfic and story, other than, you know, whether or not the person is a fan of that particular?
I would say if it puts like fandom nerdy stuff into the detriment of the story, or if it feels like the story is written by someone who isn't taking the story seriously and is just using it as a vehicle to put fan stuff in. You know what I mean?
So the issue isn't fanfic, it's fan service.
Sure.
It sounds like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm just like, if you're a fan of something and you write fiction of it, it is.
Yeah, okay, yes. If you want to get pedantic about it, yes. If you are a fan and you write a work of fiction based on something you're a fan of, then yes,
so
it would be fan fiction.
And you're clearly using it in a different way. Therefore, since you're using it in a different way, a way that is different from its actual meaning, I think it's fair to be pedantic and say, well, how are you using it? Because you're using it in a different way.
It's never fair to be pedantic.
Yes, it is. Screw you.
It's never pedantry is never the right choice. Kara has a good suggestion.
Is often the right choice.
We really have a strong disagreement there.
It's okay. Kara, I'm used to you being wrong.
There we go. I knew that was coming.
You Kara says so nicely for me.
Kara says of the director of Nemesis, so he directed a page at a time and threw each page away. Yeah, I think that might have been his technique. Yes, because like people say, you know, like Sci-Fi 2285 points out there, it's a really infamous example of how Stuart Baird didn't seem to know the material when he couldn't remember Geordie's character name. And then he tried to remember the actor's name, which of course was LeVar Burton, but he didn't say LeVar, he said Laverne. And it's like, at that point, the problem isn't that he's a Star Trek. He's not, whether he is or isn't a Star Trek fan. That's completely irrelevant. He just directed a movie with these people. Like, you should know their name. You should remember the names of the stars of your movie, especially if one of them is LeVar Burton, who is a fairly famous and well-known actor. It's not like he's just some dude who got a part and it was his big break. And he's like, oh, who's the name of that kid we cast as Geordie? It's LeVar Burton. It's the guy. He started Roots, the highest rated TV miniseries ever. Plus, he played this Geordie character for 7 years on TV. Like, that's just him not caring about the movie he made, not whether or not he likes Star Trek.
Well, so can we go ahead and get started? Because
yes,
I'm so tired. Y'all,
I know. You are, and
Next
you
Friday
have
is the last day with students. And then I got 2 days after Memorial Day, Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's it for this school year. After that, I go get surgery. Yay!
Well, on your foot.
On my foot.
Not life-threatening surgery.
Well, I mean, not any more life-threatening than any other.
There's always a chance, I guess. You know,
yep.
The anesthetist opens the valve a little too wide, and then your history.
Sadly, I mean, yes, that is also a possibility, but I mean, sometimes you just don't wake up and they don't know why.
Well, that's fun.
You know, I'll be sure to.
Yeah, she died. No idea why.
I'm not, it's just one of those things. I'm not going to actually write out the thing, but I do. Anytime I'm going in, they're going to put me like before I got the colonoscopy. I'm just, I made sure to tell my mom and dad that I love them, and
I love the idea of someone like passing away during surgery, something to do with the anesthesia, and it's like an unknown cause, and like their loved ones are in the waiting room, and they get the crushing news, and they're like, "Oh my God, it was routine surgery. What happened?" And the doctor's like, "I don't know.
just one of those days, I guess." I mean,
hey, anyway, sometimes shit happens. Anyway, we have some paperwork. It's kind of
traumatic for you, but I mean, for me, it's just, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, Kara, I am not teasing. I think fanfic is awesome, and I am perfectly fine with movies being fanfic. I think, as long as they're good fanfic. Or let me put it this way. As long as they're fanfic that I enjoy, it's fine. I mean, I guess it's fine if I don't, because, I just won't go see it. So there you go. Everybody wins.
255 AD says, you're a Trek writer and you turn in a script and people above say this is good, but its canon ships were warp 7 by 2177 and you have this one limited to warp 4. Your response, to cash the check. If and that to me is a completely.
Don't say that. The people above say, I think this will make money, or I don't think this will.
Yeah,
that's what they
say. That's a completely irrelevant objection that I don't think anyone should ever take seriously. So, I mean, if I was hired as a writer on the show and my boss said that, I'd just be like, hey, I turned in my script. Like, whatever. If you're going to pay me to do a rewrite, or that's part of my deal or whatever, where if it's part of my job that you can commission rewrites, and the rewrite you want me to do on this is to change warp 7 to warp 4 in this one time. Okay, I'll do that. I'm very happy for you to pay me to do that. But like, it's a bullshit. It's a bullshit note.
Or it tells you that it's really good and they were really looking for something to gripe about.
Yeah, and maybe, you can take it as a compliment. No, they couldn't find anything remotely relevant to the quality of the work to bring up. So I think the warp limit on these made up ships is wrong. Anyway, so, are you too tired to tell everybody how this works?
I am not too tired to tell everybody what they should do. I'm always good with telling
You're always ready for that. You can be woken up in the middle of the night and you will groggily tell people what they should do.
Go away.
That's easy. That's easy.
That's pretty easy. Stop.
And by the way, Caitlin, I think you're right. I think that's fair. Anyway.
Yeah. Stop flailing your arms in class. Sit down and do your work with some other words that I have internally bleeped, let's say. All right. So pull up your Poirot episode of the Spanish mystery of the Spanish chest, right?
Indeed.
So, and then pull it. Well, I actually need to go back because I'm at 0001. Don't want that. There we go. Now I'm at 0000. So stop it there, pause it, and then get your finger and hold it over that little pause, the little play button, because Steve is going to count us in. He's going to do a 3, 2, 1, play. And not on 1 and not on 0 because there is no 0. But on play, press play, and then we all watch it together. And if by some odd chance you should be like, they're noticing things that I didn't notice, or I'm ahead, or I'm behind, check the time code right there, and then look at your time code. And if they match, you're good. And if they don't match, you can wiggle a little doohickey until they do. And then we'll be all synced up again.
Yep.
There you go. That's the technical explanation.
That's
folks.
it. The wiggling the doohickey is the technical term.
Yep.
I hope nobody is alienated by her use of technical jargon. Okay.
Sorry,
so
folks.
are you?
I'm a nerd too. I am so ready. I have my thingy bob over the doohickey.
Okay. All right, we're gonna wiggle those doohickeys. Here we go. I'll count us in.
So vulgar.
It's my show. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I'm sorry, we can't monetize your latest live stream. You said wiggle the doohickey way too many times. You're only allowed 2 of those.
It's not family friendly.
It's not. No. Well, I know what he really means. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play.
Woo! It's always so at the beginning. I'm always like, okay, are they still working? Are they still working? And then it starts. I'm like, okay, it's okay. Yeah.
Empire Jeff, yes, he did.
And he said that he felt that was his true work.
And I was a semi-regular viewer. I will say I watch Reading Rainbow more than I watch Sesame Street. I watch Mr. Rogers most of all. So for me, the pecking order in terms of how often I watched was Mr. Rogers, Reading Rainbow, Sesame Street.
Kara, yes, very much so, except for the and they're even purple, and I still don't like the little angles.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Wow, that is like a compulsively neat asterisk.
Is it an asterisk?
No, I guess it's just like a baseline or something.
It's an X. X marks the spot.
Ah. Comic book villains of the 30s. Gotcha.
That is a very dramatic camera shot.
Yes, indeed. Especially the part where you didn't arrest me.
How did you know? Caitlin, I'm not sure. It might be creme de menthe.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Unless Poirot really likes to get fucked up at the opera.
I mean, he's a kind of he seems like kind of a lightweight. He likes his tisanes.
Yeah, he seems like a cordials kind of guy.
Also, is absinthe that deep a green? I think I always thought it was more like a lemony green color.
Yeah. Yeah, Caitlin's on the same channel as you are, Dana. Yeah, there we go. Well, HB Haggis says creme de menthe is his usual.
Yeah, see, Caitlin, it's one of the. He's a weird little chap. Creme de menthe by itself, and the bartender's like, "Okay, you tipped.
Okay, just give me the money."
Well, I mean, Caitlin, not more than whiskey does. Dun dun dun.
Yes, well, Poirot does not investigate the pre-murder.
Creme de menthe and orange juice. That just sounds awful. Ah.
He nicknamed it the greenhouse effect. That's hilarious. Doesn't sound too appetizing to me either, though.
Dun dun dun.
Do you have any wife-killing knives?
So convenient.
I mean, to us it seems troubled, but it's actually the warmest marriage in all of Britain.
Low bar.
They're an undemonstrative people. Kara knows what I'm talking about. Radar Echo, I like that. Mystery Theater 3000. Only from season 1 when they didn't write it ahead of time, so it wasn't as funny. Yeah, he's just a bag of bones.
He used to be much more rotund.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't see him before.
By George, I think he'll do it.
All right, here I go. Off to do it. I'm going to do it. He has a very baddie-like demeanor about him, doesn't he, Mr. Armour?
What is it about that makes him seem like such an untrustworthy sort?
He's up to no good, is the thing. I mean,
well, yes, but what is it about what what we see or hear?
well, look at the bright green color of the felt on that pool table.
Woohoo!
It's like a golf course.
Well, it's Britain. It's very rainy. They don't want to be outdoors all the time, but they want the memory of the outdoors.
Sure, yeah. It's reminiscent. Oh, come on, no fair. He was going to make that shot. Oh, that really pisses me off. I hate this guy.
Rude. Dun dun dun.
It's the most violent argument in British history.
I know, right? Well, I mean, aside from the clickety clackety slashety one that we saw at the beginning of the episode.
Boy, yeah, that's true. There was blood spilled in that one.
This is the second most violent one.
Caitlin, I love that. The waist-coated snookering bastard.
You'll have to remember that because I won't, and use it as an insult sometime in one of our videos with Jason.
You waist-coated snookering bastard!
Who's there? Nobody. Mr. Body's body. It's gone.
I love it. Yeah, I admit it. I am the best.
Isn't he great though? I have too much integrity to lie, Hastings. I am the best.
Welcome to our Roaring Twenties party here in 1932. No, I am the invention of the writer. Take a drink from the silver platter my butler is offering you. It's very informal. The life of the party just showed up.
Woohoo!
They're playing phonograph records. I should have known.
They didn't even hire a band, let alone a chamber orchestra.
He won't shut up about it. The butler is the crypt keeper. I like that. He is of a certain vintage, isn't he?
Rather.
Whatever. I mean, during this era of history, it was referred to as race music. So, who's that unpleasant racist man with the mustache? You'll have to be more specific. Oh God,
I do not like this.
That Charlie Chaplin look on his face. Like,
it's almost more of a scowl than don't like it. Don't like it.
oh, you're welcome, Michael. I'm glad you found some use for that. Uh-oh. Well, that's not supposed to do that. There's your problem. You're fired.
You weren't paying me anyway. Please God, let it be Miss Lemon.
Oh, good.
Alas.
Wise choice, Inspector.
I don't drink on the job. I did not do any work for the newspaper.
Well, there was a scandal in Belgravia. But as to how it got there, that's a mystery.
Doesn't seem particularly mysterious. I knew I should not have danced.
I always knew Poirot's hard partying ways would come back to bite him one day.
In the eye, apparently.
Because he was in bed with me at the time. Oh, he gets one of the fancy cells on the second floor. Yeah. Man, Bill Hader could play this guy in a skit and it would kill. No.
Quick, your meeting has begun.
And once again, no talking.
He thinks it's like, he's absolutely insufferable.
He's got that big dick energy in this episode. No.
No. No. No.
No.
Okay, Wadsworth. I know it's very kind of you to say so. However, jails are so depressing. Technically, no, sir. Excuse me.
Excuse me. Well, it's just because the chest was modest. You've got wood borers.
She's having a psychotic break. We can tell because the curl has fallen slightly loose.
She took too many pamprin.
That is a really fast acting.
Yeah, it was like 3 seconds and she's on the floor. Can't get any answer.
Well, you know, she's one of the lower classes.
That's true. Action Hastings. I say, Poirot, you wouldn't happen to know mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, would you, old fellow?
Well, a snake cat only when she's bad. I mean, when she's good, she's very, very good.
She's got that Drew McIntyre power.
Did she fall on the glass, Kara? Yeah, glass doesn't always shatter like that. Sometimes, it's much more common for it to just get a big old friggin' chunk out of it.
And actually, Caitlin brings up that's one of my favorite funny bits in The Room. There's a scene in The Room where Johnny gets drunk and he drops a whiskey glass and you hear it break, and the sound effect they use sounds like he dropped like a gigantic plate on the ground, like the sound of the breaking whatever. There's no way a whiskey glass made that noise. It's hilarious.
He's not so great at the hunt and peck method.
These newfangled typewriters, this will never catch on. Can you type?
Smack, smack.
Punching the keys. A whole morning's work for nothing. I'm Garth Marenghi.
Anything for a profit, Kara.
Oh, yeah.
Please take me away from the typewriter. Damn.
All right. Why'd you do it, Princess Diana? Why'd you do it?
What? Die?
Hey, too soon. Oh, no, you're not being released. You're being executed.
Ring, ring, ring.
I don't think that was his real voice.
No?
You've got it wrong, Mr. Poirot.
Now that is a very fine hat.
Quite. Dun, dun, dun.
I am, how you say, huge.
Especially when shot way from below.
Kara, exactly.
Dun, 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 dun.
Now you should play on my court, Poirot.
I'm not from France. Which has a keyhole. Dun, dun, dun.
Ironically, he never saw it coming.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm running away. Shoosh, 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 shoosh. So dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Slice and dice, baby. It's you.
Not really, but it was fun. I am the best. The best. I shall be the most humble person in all of Britain.
My humbleness will put everyone else to shame.
My humility.
Humility.
That was good. So did you enjoy that one?
I enjoyed that one very much. Yes, I like the ones where, well, first of all, Poirot was really funny, and I liked
Yep.
his little preening moments. I am the detective, like that kind of stuff. I thought that was
I'm
great.
not just a detective. I am the detective.
And I liked that the mystery had a very elegant solution. Like, I mean, people in the chat are like, well, but why didn't he just get out of the chest? Why didn't he cry out? Yeah, okay, there's some holes in it, but just the solution of like, how did he get killed? Oh, he drilled a hole so he could breathe and see out of it, and the dude just stabbed him through the hole. Like, it's,
Yep.
Yeah.
I think in the story there's a little bit more setup that he says, he's encouraged to make the hole so that he can watch, so that the killer is anticipating that he will not
to make
just be
sure
breathing
that
through
the
it,
hole's
but
there. Yeah.
Well, but also that he's looking through the hole, because if he's just
Right.
in there listening and the sword comes through,
And,
he's like,
and he just sees the
supposed
sword go through the hole. Hey, wait a minute.
that wasn't supposed to happen. Interesting. I didn't expect that at the party. This is a much more interesting party that I skipped that I should have gone. But yeah, I think it's set up a little bit more clear. That might have been my brain filling in the why. And I can understand, he got they said the sword went straight into his brain. So like I think that
right through the eye.
I think that is satisfactory for me, at least, for why didn't he cry out? Well, because he was dead.
He had a stabby in the brain.
That kind of shuts you up pretty good pretty quick.
Mr. I Love the Ants, I thought that too when they showed when Poirot was going through the explanation, and so he concealed himself inside the Spanish chest. I was like, oh, good thing nothing's in there. It's not being used for anything.
I think it was part of the plan. Dude emptied it. He's like, just shoved it under the sofa or some shit. I don't know.
Just chucked it out the window.
They won't need this for at least a couple of days.
It'll be fine.
Screw it.
I only need it for tonight.
All right. So can we Wordle and then Skidoodle?
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Let's play Wordle. So this is today's Wordle. And if you have not played Wordle with us before, the way this works is Dana will be taking the lead. But Dana is not actually seeing the Wordle board. She is only going by my description.
Yeah, so don't screw it up, Steve.
I will try not to. But yeah, and if you were watching along with us and you would like to play along,
I'm just saying.
We welcome your suggestions.
I haven't done it. I'm going to leave.
Not even going to try. We welcome your suggestions. Just if you have solved today's Wordle, all we ask is that you please do not give the answer away and do not give us any hints. So, having said all of that, shall we begin with your primary starter? Yeah.
Yes, let's.
Heart. Heart. And that gives us, wow, okay, it gives us an H in the wrong place, and that's it.
Well, boo. Try lions.
Lions. Lions. Let's see what we get there. Okay, that's a little better. Lions gives us an I in the correct place and an N in the wrong place.
Well, H.B. Haga, that's pretty good. When something hits your eye and you think you might die, that's a sword cane.
That's a sword cane. I like that.
That's pretty good. So you said an I in the right place?
An I in the right place, yes.
And the other one was an H in the wrong place.
Yes.
And then what else? The Lions gave something else. Was the L in the wrong place?
An N. And the N in the wrong place.
Okay. L-I-O.
Yeah.
Okay. My guess would be, actually, Kara, I was going to say pinch would also work.
Yeah, I think either one of them would work, yeah. It can't be niche H.B. Haggard because there's no E.
Because the E.
Yeah.
So preference. I mean, it could be winch as well.
It could be winch. Oh boy, we're coming up with all sorts of possibilities.
Finch. Like a bird. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Kara was in first with cinch. Do you want to try that?
Well, hang on. We've got cinch, winch, pinch. Okay. Are there any others like that along those lines? And finch. Cinch, winch, pinch, and finch. So we've got 4 already that could work.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I think we should do, given that we already have 2 guesses and we have 4, which might not be correct. I mean, it might be something in another, but if we could do C, W, P, and F, a word that uses those.
Oh, just to see what
to rule some of them out.
C, W, P, and F.
Yep. And the C needs to be first so that we can tell it's not the C at CH. We're guessing CH is there. So hang on. And we're the CWP.
I mean, we could try like clamp. That gives us a C and a P.
Mm-hmm. Hang on. F and W. I think clamp is probably going to be our best bet. So yeah, go for clamp because I can't think of how to pull
to see what we've got. Okay, clamp.
And if the C is in the wrong place, that will help.
There is a C and a P, but they're both in the wrong place. So we might be looking at pinch here. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go for it. Yes.
Let's try pinch. Pinch. And that's it. That's the right answer.
Go team us.
Woohoo. H.B. Haggard. I like pinch too, funnily enough. Seems like that might be a good way to go. All right.
Oh gosh, no. Wouldn't want to go that way. Yes, Empire Jeff
pinched to death.
To death. All right, folks. So you're off this week, right? It's not Friday.
Yes, no live stream for me this week. Right after. No live stream after this one.
So yeah, I will be feeling. Hopefully, I will be feeling quite celebratory next Friday because, God willing, I will have all my grading done. It'll be a long weekend and then 2 days back. Yeah, I'll be definitely looking forward to that. So next week, we are back for DS9 again. What are we watching, Steve?
We are watching an episode. It is an Odo episode.
Ooh.
And it's called Things Past.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Funsies.
Yeah. It's a nice dark one.
Oh. Okay, I will.
It's a nice dark episode.
All right. Well, in that case, folks, I guess that's about it. Don't forget to check the description for links to help people out. And then, of course, charitylinks.page, where we have lists of GoFundMes and Ko-Fis and all that good stuff for people who could use a helping hand. So help if you can, because helping people is good. Don't forget to come back next week for Deep Space Nine and
Things Past.
I was like, something about the past. But things past.
So something about the past.
Something about the past. I have not had any absinthe or cream de menthe. That's just me being forgetful. And then
isn't that the name of that Proust novel? Something about the past.
Something about the past. And then next Friday, of course, is Ask Away. So if you are a member of the channel or a patron on patreon.com/Steve Shives, you can send in a question, which Steve will read live on the air and then answer, as is his want. In whatever fashion.
As is my custom.
As is his custom. And what he has offered to do. He fulfills his promises. So yeah, join by clicking the button or going to patreon.com/Steve Shives and becoming a patron. And come back next week and hang out with us and watch Deep Space Nine. Ta-da!
That's all there is to say.
That's all she wrote. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye, everybody.